Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to a new playthrough on the channel. Christmas in Arkham is in full swing at this point, and we've already won against Chibnigrath by a score of 2-0. We also visited the background campaign for Hero Realms with the first scenario of the Lost Village campaign, and we defeated that scenario. Anyway, enough rambling about the past. Let's look forward to what's to come on the channel. Tonight, we're going to debut a brand new game on the channel. As I mentioned when I announced this game was coming last week, I normally like my horror more cosmic than slasher, but that's not to say I dislike slasher horror. Anyway, tonight we're going to debut Final Girl. This is a solo-only game where our goal is to defeat the killer we're going up against. This game is a modular game similar to Cthulhu Death May Die, where in this game you select a killer and a setting and set them up together, similar to how in Death May Die, you select the Ancient One and the scenario and set those up together. Anyway, let's go ahead and meet today's killer. Here's our killer today. We've got Hans the Butcher. We've got slots up here for minor dark powers, but there'll be more on that later. Anyway, he starts off with a horror level at 4, and I'll point that out when we move down to look at the player area. Starting with 12 health, we've got 11 tokens here, and then a final health token, which will give us a +1 die when we're down to that. We also have our Bloodlust track over here, which will advance as Hans kills victims, how much damage he does, actually how much he moves, and how much damage he does. And as we move up, we can see we've got a few points here where the terror level, where the horror level will rise, and we'll eventually unlock a dark power down here, which is this card. Then we've also got what happens at the start of the killer turn. So whenever we're in whenever there's a final girl or a victim there, he'll attack them. He'll choose the victim if we're in the same space as a victim. But anyway, that's all for Hans. Now let's go take a look at our setting. So we're taking on Hans at Camp Happy Trails tonight. We ended up with the meditation hour, so we've got our victims quite scattered around the board. We've got one up here at right outside the cabins. We've got 2 up here at Makeout Point, one overlooking the cliff, one at the utility shed, a couple over toward the lake where Hans is starting, one at the dock, one at the fire pit, and one down here outside of where we're starting, and I'll introduce our final girl in a minute. You might also notice here, it might be somewhat hard to see, but there are 3 spaces on here where we can potentially draw items. Actually, the dock is one of them. The cabins and the utility shed up here are our 3 items. So we do know what's on top of each deck. So on top of the cabins we find a bear trap. Anyone who steps on this is going to have a really, really, really bad day. So we spend 2 time to place the bear trap token in your space, but we can't use the lake, and discard this card. If the killer enters the space with the bear trap, discard this token and immediately end the killer phase. The killer takes 2 damage. Might be something we want to consider grabbing. At the docks we find a knife. Great for whittling, also great for stabbing maniacs. We have to be in melee range to do it. It does a damage on attack, and when we use it to attack, and it takes up a hand slot. So similar to in like in Arkham Horror 2nd Edition, you can only hold 2 hands worth of stuff, but you can hold, looks like up to 4 items in your backpack. But anyway, then over at the utility shed we find a map. If I'm going to survive the night, I need to know the lay of the land. Discard during the action phase, and then, for each deck of the item cards, do one of the following. If the top card is face down, reveal it. If the top card is face up, you may remove it from the game and reveal the next card. That's a ways over at the utility shed, but here's where we're starting. We can get to the cabins reasonably quickly for the bear trap. The dock might be another good idea, but Hans is right there. But anyway, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. last thing we need to do is we need to meet tonight's final girl and finish up and go through final setup. We're playing as Reiko tonight as our final girl. So just to show you what her mini looks like. That's what her mini looks like. And then our killer Hans. That's his mini. Now, when I actually grabbed this game from my local game store, at first I kind of hesitated on starting to spring for a lot of stuff in this game, but eventually once I started playing, I was like, oh, this is actually a really good game. That's when I finally decided to go gimme, get the rest of what I could from there, and part of what I was able to grab was the set of minis along with these mats that I'm playing on, but anyway, I'm slightly rambling there. Reiko's got 6 health, and we got 5 spaces for victims that we can save. So if we save a victim, we can either take 2 time, recover a health, take the planning action card, which we'll go through when I move over to the action tableau, and we've got 2 options here to move 2 spaces. Then if we save all of them, we've got an ultimate ability that we can unlock at that point on the other side, which I'll go through when that actually happens. But anyway, we'll tip the camera up just a touch and zoom out just a hair, just so we can get the time track in view. So we start off with 6 time over here. We'd start off with 5 and the outer dial, which impacts the number of dice we roll on each of our action cards. The killer starts off at a horror level of 4. But anyway, slight rambling on that aside. Now I think we can move over to the action tableau and go through all of that. Here's our action tableau, but before we get into that, let's go through our starting hand. So we start off with having 2 focus cards, and I'll actually go through flavor text when I play them. So when we make a horror roll using this card, if we get 2 successes, we get to reduce the horror level by 1, and we gain 2 time, which we'll use in the planning phase to purchase these cards. If we get 1 success, we still reduce the horror level, but we lose a time. If we get no successes, we lose 2 time, which could be a bit of a problem there. Then we've got a walk. So if we get 2 successes, we can move up to 2 spaces and lose a time. 1 success will move us up to 1 space and lose us a time. No successes, we can either move up to a space, take a damage and lose 2 time, or just lose 2 time. And we got 2 copies of that. Then we've got a short rest. So on 2 successes, we gain 2 health. On 1 success, we gain a health but lose a time. On no successes, we gain a health, increase the horror level, lose a time, and then the action phase is just over on the spot. And last up is a weak attack. So 2 successes lets us do a damage. 1 success lets us do 1 but take 1 back. And no successes means we take a damage and we end the action phase on the spot. So anyway, we'll go ahead and take a look at all of these cards. So first up, we've got the close call for 1 time. Again, we can buy any of these during the planning phase. Close call for 1 time. We've got 2 copies of that. We can play after any horror roll to either roll a die or re-roll all dice, but it costs us 2 time to do that. Then we've got the guard, where for 2 successes we can ignore all damage. 1 reduces damage by 2, and no successes reduces damage by 1, but to a minimum of 1. Then we've got search, which for 2 successes, take the top 2 item cards at your space and choose 1. Place the other on top face up or underneath face down. 1 success, take the top item card on your space and lose a time. I didn't mention that on the 2 success, but that one also loses time. No successes, you either take the top item card at your space and advance the horror level by 2 and lose 2 time, or just advance the horror rating by 1 but lose 2 time. Then we've got a sprint, which is basically an accelerated walk. So 2 successes moves you up to 3 spaces, I'm looking here right now, and loses a time. 1 success moves up to 2 spaces and loses a time. No success, you move up to 1 space, then take a damage, then lose 2 time, and the action phase is over. Or you lose a health and lose 2 time. Improvise for 3 over here. Until the action phase ends for 2 successes, all 3s and 4s are successes. For the next horror roll only, all 3s and 4s are successes. And on no successes, we increase horror by 1 and lose a time. I'll go through all of these cards and I'll explain the dice briefly. Then we've got Distraction up here for 3 time. 2 successes lets you decrease the horror level by 2 and gain 2 time. 1 success gives you reduces horror level by 1 and gives you 1 time. No successes, you either decrease the horror level but lose 4 time, or increase horror rating by 1 and lose 2 time. Then a Furious Strike for 4. I think the rest of these only have only 1 copy. Furious Strike, if you get 2 successes, you deal 2 damage and reduce horror by 1. 1 success deals 1 damage, decreases the horror level by 1, but the action phase is over. No successes, you take a damage, increase the horror level by 1, and then the action phase is over. The Planning card for 4, which is one of the cards that Reiko can take if she rescues a victim. 2 successes gets her 3 more dice for the next horror roll. 1 success gives you 2 dice for the next horror roll and lose a time. No successes gives you 1 die for the next horror roll, plus increase horror by 1 and lose 2 time. Retaliate for 4. On 2 successes, and you can play that when you get attacked. 2 successes, you ignore all damage from the attack and do 2 damage back. So 1 success, reduce the damage from the attack by 2 and do 1 back, and 1 does nothing for you, so you're not able to block anything. Then we've got a Long Rest over here for 5 successes, or for 5 time. On 2 successes, you heal 4 damage and lose a time. 1 success, you heal 3 damage but lose 2 time. Then on no successes on a Long Rest, you gain 2 health, increase horror by 1, lose 2 time, and the action phase is over. On Critical Blow for 6 time, 2 successes gets you 3 damage and decrease the horror rating by 1. 1 success gives you 2 damage, decrease the horror by 1, but the action phase is over. And on 1 success, you do 2 damage, lose 2 health, increase the horror rating by 1, and then the action phase is over. So, let me go through the dice real quick. So we've got 6 of these dice that we get put aside as part of setup. So the 1 and the 2 on here are blanks. 3 and 4 mean you can discard 2 cards to turn those into successes, which are your 5 and your 6. So that's how the horror rolls will work. I'll try to walk through that very slowly when we actually get into the first turn of the game, but anyway. That will do it for the action tableau. Now we need to move back up to the board to get our opening event. We have our first event card, so here we find Clinging Campers. If you grip my arm any tighter, you're going to pull it right off. There is no penalty for the first victim you saved during the action phase. For each additional victim saved, you lose a health. Oh, great! So we want to be able to save our victims, but apparently we only want to be able to save them 1 at a time. Ugh, that's going to be a big problem, but anyway, that will do it for initial setup. So I think at long last, I think we're ready to get into this game, and let's start off with our first round. So I've got 2 objectives here. I want to try to start saving victims, but I also want to work my way toward the dock if I can. Although that's going to put me right in the crossfire with Hans. That could be a problem. So I think I will just go ahead and start off with a focus, looking at the flavor text. Okay, think. I know what I have to do. It's scary, but I have to get over that and focus on my next move. So we will get to roll 2 dice because the horror level right now is 4. Alright, so let's see what happens with this focus. Oop. I'll put that through the tower. We get 2 successes off of that, so that means we get to decrease the horror rating by 1 and we gain 2 time. So that's very welcome. Now I do want to take a walk. Question is, what path am I going to want to... Well, let's see what kind of roll I get before I decide where I want to start making my way. And I get Bubkus. So the question is, do I want to move anyway and lose a health? Or... Yeah, I feel like losing a health here is probably something... It's not something I want to do, but it's kind of one of those things where I really kind of need to do it. Right here. Okay, so we'll try again on the walk. And we actually missed the flavor text. 1 foot in front of the other. Nice and slow. There is a bloodthirsty killer after me. But that's no reason to panic, right? Still 2 dice because we actually decreased the horror rating. Alright, so there's one... I can discard 2 cards for 1 success. That first walk actually did cost me 2 time as well. I think I will discard my weak attack and my short rest to get a success, so I'll pull this victim back over here to try to get him out next round. And then I'm going to discard, so that cost me another time. And I'll discard this focus for 1 more time. Anyway, that will do it for me. So now I'm into the planning phase. And I think I want... Let's see, it would be 1, 2, 3... I think I'll take 2... I think I'll take a sprint. Question is, how likely do I think I am going to be to get hit here? Probably not very likely, so I'll took a sprint for 2, and we'll take a distraction for 3, and a close call for 1. So that will do it for the planning phase. I get to reset time to 6, and I've already moved the play area stuff to the discard pile. So now we have the killer phase, where there's no final girl or victim in the space, so he doesn't attack. Which means we go to the terror card, so we draw. And it didn't want to stay in my hand. What's that noise? Let's go and see. If there are no victims on the board, discard and draw the next terror card. Otherwise, all victims move 1 space toward the nearest enemy because they're all stupid, apparently. So move, 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 and move, because once again, that first victim that I moved there was just completely stupid. Then after that, he attacks, so he'll kill one of these victims, which will increase his bloodlust by 1. And then he would move toward another victim, but he's already in the space, so he just stays put. But then we have the panic phase. So if a victim was killed this turn, the victim panics. So this victim will panic. I have never been sure how the panicking... Okay, this is a little confusing, but I gotta look something up in the panic phase. I probably should have apologized, but this is normally a phase I just blow through because there isn't much going there, because victims died this turn. Okay. Leading away from the fire pit. So, actually leading away from the location. So we've got... Why do we have 2 1 to 4s, though? That kind of bugs me a bit. So we can panic victims in either direction? That seems a little weird, but... Right. 1 to 4. Okay, so... Or if leave them where they are if the victim role is not shown. Okay, okay, so that's still a little weird, though, that there are two 1 to 4s on here. But anyway. Alright. Well, I'm going to go with it for now, but I want to get a little bit of a clearer ruling on that. So it looks like I get the choice of where they panic if they panic. That seems weird. But... Give me a break. Alright, so a 5 looks like the victim stays put anyway. Oh, joy. I had the die get stuck in the dice tower, which is always fun, but anyway. That will do it for round 1. We didn't get a new event out of that, so round 2 will be next. And hopefully we can do a little bit of maybe saving victims if they're not going to be so stupid this time. Okay, now I've got panic straight. So it looks like I was assuming it was the numbers on the side to the destination, not the starting location that determines where they panic. But it's actually the numbers at the start location that determine whether or where they panic. That makes more sense. So anyway, now we can get round 2 started. And we'll try for a sprint. Run. Where? Anywhere. Sounds like a good plan to me. But what do I know? Oh, we could discard 2 cards for a success. Actually, I'm going to play Close Call here to reroll all my dice for 2 time. Unfortunately, this also means I can't discard 2 dice for a success. Right, so I guess either way I'm going to be taking the damage anyway, so I'll move up here, which will deal a damage, which will move me up to 1 space, deal a damage, cost me 2 time, and the action phase is just over, so that's going to be a problem. Anyway, I get all the 0 cost cards back, and then for 2 time I'm going to take the other sprint. So all of these move back. That was a very uneventful action phase, unfortunately. The killer phase happens next. So Hans will actually kill this victim, have his bloodlust increased by 1, which also increases the horror rating by 1. That's a problem. Right. So planning phase is all done. Killer phase, now we draw a terror card. So now we find... he's just standing there. Increase the horror rating by 2. This is very bad. Right, so time goes back up to 6. And then he moves twice to get 2 targets, except he's got 2 right here. So, this is during the panic phase. So he killed at the lake and he ends up on the cliffs, which means both the victims at the cliffs will panic. And now that I understand how panicking works, this should be a lot smoother. And they'll both... Okay, so one's going to panic toward this location. The other one will panic toward the lake. Joy, joy. Goody, goody gumdrops. So anyway, that will do it for round 2. We have nothing for the upkeep because we still have terror cards left. Round 3 next, and things are going very haywire very quickly. But let's see what we can do here. I think we're going to start here with a sprint, or let's go with a walk first. Let's try our luck with that. Because we sure seem to be hurting ourselves enough with that, thank you very much. And we get Bubkiss out of that, so I think we're just going to eat the... I think we're just going to eat the 2 time on that one. Great. We're off to a good start here, Reiko. Let's try a... Well, let's run the walk back then. I'm going to put these dice off to the side. These dice are very much failing me tonight. These 2 are doing no better. Joy. Well, this time I think we need to move, even at the cost of a health. I sure seem to be doing a great job of killing myself tonight. But anyway, I think before we move, we're going to try a short rest. See if we can do a little bit of healing here. Alright, so we do get to heal a health back, but we also lose another time. Well, I think we might as well just discard 3 0-cost cards and get 3 time back. So we'll discard those, go back up to 4 time, and then I'm going to call it an action phase there because things are very much going haywire on us. So, I think he's going to start working toward us pretty soon. So, yeah, I think I'd better get ready to start playing some defense. So I will take a... Actually, I'm going to take the opposite approach, and I'm going to take a Furious Strike. Because I'm going to plan on trying to stick and move here, but... Anyway, that will do it. That was all 4 of my times. So that goes back up to 6. These move into the action tableau. All 0-cost cards. And now we're into the killer phase. So there's nobody in his space to attack, which means we flip a terror card we find. Oh joy, a minor dark power, unholy rage. Hans does an additional damage for each attack, and right now he's doing 2 damage. And we need 2 health to kill this off. So we need to put 2 hits on this to get rid of it. But anyway, fortunately he didn't kill anybody, so there's no panic phase here. Upkeep phase, we don't reveal the finale. So we're into round 4 now. Actually, yeah, round 4 now, and... there might be a chance to get a victim out of here this turn, but we gotta hope things go according to plan. Let's lead off with a distraction this turn because that horror rating is way too high. I want to see if I can knock that down a little bit. So this is where I really need 2 successes. Am I willing to ditch 2 cards to get it? I might have to. I could decrease it by 1, but I'd lose 4 time doing that. I really don't want to increase the... Oh, this is a tough one. Do I take one success? Do I take one success and gain a time back? Or do I... This is bad. So I can't afford to have my horror rating go up even higher. But yeah, I think unfortunately I have to ditch these two cards to decrease the horror rating by 1, just to get me out of the danger zone, and gain a time. So that'll make for a very short event phase, or for a very short action phase. Planning phase, I'll grab the other sprint for 2 along with all these 0 costs. So I've got 2 spent. Let's go 2 more, let's go 2 guards. That was all kinds of fun. This is going great, kids. Then the killer phase. Once again, Hans doesn't have a victim in his space, so he doesn't attack anybody. And then we find... He wants fresh blood. If there are no victims on the board, discard and draw the next terror card. Otherwise, looking for a victim, he'll move twice and attack, except he only needs to move once to get to this victim, so he'll take that one out and increase his bloodlust rating by 1. Yeah, this is just completely going sideways on us very quickly. Alright, so things are starting to go sideways on us here, but yeah. So our plan right now, are we going to try to attack him? I don't think we can afford to risk it in the shape we're in, because he's doing 3 damage right now. The only way I want to attack is if I can immediately get foe from the space. But anyway, that will do it for round 4. Actually, that was round 4. Round 5 now, and yeah, things are very much starting to spiral out of control here. But let's see if we can salvage this mess. Alright, so let's go with a... I'm pretty busted up here, so let's go with a... do I want to go with a short rest here, or... I think we're actually going to start with a focus to try to knock the horror rating down even further and gain some more time. I could dump my entire hand if I want 2 successes, and I probably just dump 2 cards for 1, so I'll dump a weak attack and a short rest, since I don't think I'm ready to take him on yet. So that'll decrease the horror rating by 1, but lose me a time, which should have been at 5. Then I'm going to walk, try to get this victim out. Oh, joy. Dice are not proving very cooperative with me tonight. I'll dump a focus and a guard, mostly so I can get the victim out, and so that's going to cost me another time. And which one do I want? I'm going to be trying this sprint, so I'm actually going to move 1 space. I want to move back away from Hans. Then I am going to try another walk. Didn't mean to jar the camera there. Alright, there's a success, and I can dump these last 2 cards if I want if I want another success. And I think I do, so I can try to maybe loop around and start saving victims in this direction, but I expect he's going to be able to just run through them as quickly as he can. So I will go ahead and dump those to get a second success, which will move me 1, 2 here. Cost me another time. And then I'm actually out of cards in my hand, so I've got 3 time, which I'll take a sprint for 2 and a close call for 1. Which basically means I'm doing exactly... Which means I'm probably still trying to just run away from him right now, because nothing else I'm doing is really taking hold. But anyway, killer phase next. Hans doesn't have any victims around him, so next terror card up. Let's go see if the rumors are true, you dummies. Place 2 new victims in the space where the killer started the game. So the killer started the game at the lake. We place 2 new victims here. Then the horror rating goes up by 1 again, and then we get a fresh event card. That's what this event means. So our fresh event... Star-crossed lovers. When exactly 2 victims are in a space and one of them is killed, the other immediately dies as well. Oh joy. Just what I wanted to see, kids. This game is going completely sideways on us, and yeah. So we're in round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're in round 6 now. And, that clingy camper was not helping us, but... We'll reset that back to 6, but let's see what we can do about this mess. Let's see what a sprint does for us here, shall we? So we get 2 dice, which are already in the cup. Well, I'll play my close call to roll all of my horror dice for 2 time. And get 2 successes out of it, so I get to move up to 3 spaces. This might be worth a 2 health jolt, actually. So... this will cost me a time. I'll move up to 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. I'll get 3 victims out, which will cost me 2 health, but I'll net losing 1. I'll take 2 time back. So I'm going to net losing 1, because one of the victims I save is going to go over the 1 health healing. And then I'll move another space. Do I want to move in Hans's direction? I might not have a choice here, so I think I will. Anyway, that moves there. And then I'm out of cards for the phase, so we're into the planning phase next. So I'll take all of these back. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. He's going to be starting to look for me pretty soon, so... I think for 5 time, I will grab... let's grab a sprint for 2, a search for 2, and the other close call for 1. There was 1 still in the tableau when the round started, so I will grab that. Then our killer phase, there's nobody in the space for him to attack. So we get a fresh terror card, we find. Maybe things are starting to go our way. Draw the top card of any item deck. Ooh, finally. Well, I'm going to snap up the knife in that case. which means now I'm probably going to have to start trying to attack. Actually, that can go in hand. But anyway, so that will do it for round, what is this, round 6 or 7 probably. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This was round 6. We're in round, we would have the panic phase, but nobody died this round. So Hans is just kind of holding his ground right now. We also blow through the upkeep phase. We're in round 7, and now I think we need to try to start getting to work on Hans. That should be up to 6 time. Before I try to start working on Hans, though, I do want to try to get one more victim out so I can get Reiko the planning action card, because I'm probably going to need that. But anyway, we'll try for a walk here. I'll put those in the cup. Right, there's one, and I can dump a card if I want a second success. And I think I do. I will dump the search and the focus to get a second success. So I'll get this last victim out, which will give me the planning card. But more importantly, I have saved my 5th victim. So Reiko has her maximum ability, her leveled up ability unlocked. She finds... This is her ultimate ability. Once per action phase, if an enemy is within 2 spaces, you may move to that enemy's space for free. For each additional victim saved, you gain 1 time. Okay, so that cost us... So we still have... So we lose a time, but we still have a move left. And I think I will move into... I may move to that enemy's space for free. So I will move up to Hans for the once per turn. Then I'll play a... This is bad. I'll play a weak attack since I want to start getting some damage in on Hans. We'll take these 2 dice. Two successes, so we do a damage to Hans, which is very nice. I will put that on... I'm going to actually take it off of him, because if I'm... My plan here with Reiko is I very much want to stick and move. So I need to take a hit and run strategy, which a sprint will hopefully help me out with. So let's have this, Reiko. Actually, I get 2 damage because I had the knife. And we get Bubkiss out of that. Oh joy. So I think we will get out of the space, but for a damage. So we need to be very careful here. We are rolling an additional die because of that last surge of adrenaline, but I did want to get out of the space anyway, so we lose 2 time, but the action phase is over. So we have 3 time here. Let's grab a guard for 2, and I'll grab the other close call for 1. So that's my 3 time. Those and here. Then our terror card, Hans would attack, except we got out of the space. But he draws. He just keeps coming. Oh joy. So his horror rating goes up. So we're back to that. Then he targets one of us. He'll always choose the victim if there's a tie. So he'll move toward the victim. And then he'll attack. So he'll take that out. This is bad. So his Bloodlust advanced, and so his Bloodlust advanced, which brought his horror rating up. So we need to be very careful with what we do here. We need to get that horror rating down right now. So that is going to be round... Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, 7. So round 8 next, and like I said, we need to get that horror rating down first things first. We are going to focus, and we still get our 2 dice, even though the horror rating's up at 7 because we are on our last health point right now. That should be back at 6. I'm always a derp about forgetting to do that at the planning phase. Okay, so that does get the horror rating down, but we lose a time off of that. I'm going to try a short rest here. I probably want to do a little bit of healing just to get off of that free health point. Actually, I get 3 dice. Now the horror rating's back down and I'm on my last health. Two successes, so I do heal 2 health, which takes me off of that extra die, but more importantly, it takes me off of death's doorstep. So that's there. I'm probably... Oh, I don't even have an attack card in my hand right now. So there's really no point to... Alright, so I'm actually going to discard a guard, one of my close calls, and a walk to get 3 time back. So that brings me up to 3 times. So I'm up to 8 time now. I get these 0-cost cards back. And then for 8 time, what do I want? I think I want a critical blow for 6 and another sprint for 2. So that's my planning phase done. Time resets to 6. I'll actually remember to do that. Whoop, wait a minute, those should be on 0 cost. There and there, okay. Alright, so now we're into a new killer phase. Hans doesn't there's nobody in Hans' space for him to attack, so we draw. You can't save us. No one can. If there are no victims on the board, discard and draw the next terror card. Otherwise, all victims in your space must panic twice, except there's nobody... We're up here right now, so there's nobody there to panic. Then he attacks anybody, then he attacks somebody in his space, and then he's moving to get to the... He's moving to get to the victims, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So he'll actually move in this direction. But anyway, that will do it for round 8, round 9, and now we need to start putting some serious damage on Hans. Plan here needs to be stick and move, but before I do that, I thought I had a short rest in my hand. I must have used it last turn, so I'm actually going to roll... I'm actually going to play a walk first, which will let me move, hopefully move... I just need 1 success out of this. Actually, I don't even need that. Come to think of it, I actually have a free move, which... Yeah, I'll use my free move to move into Hans. And then I'll start off with a planning. So here I want 2 successes to hopefully get me a lot of dice. That's 1, so that gives me an extra 2 dice, but I lose a time off of that. Then I'll play a critical blow, so I'm trying to do 4 damage in 1 shot, which gives me 4 dice. Ugh, I could dump my entire hand for Actually, I'm going to play a close call. For 2-time, I'm going to re-roll all of that. Come on, Reiko. We need to have this badly. Nice! And we get it. So that should be on 4-time right now. We do 4 damage to Hans because we have the knife, and the horror rating goes down by 1. So 4 damage to Hans. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the horror rating goes down by 1. Then we're going to try a weak attack. Just rolling the normal 2 dice. Blast it all. Hang on. Alright, so everybody was here. I got 1 success, and I can dump 2 cards for another success, and I definitely don't want to be on the space when he attacks. And he's only moving 1, so still, it might be worth it. So I think I'll go... I think I'm going to keep a mobility card for next turn. So I'll toss the focus and the walk, so I can keep a sprint and move 1, 2. Basically making it equidistant, but if he has to if he gets to a choice, he can choose. He can still choose the victims, because our bloodlust track isn't that low right now, but anyway. And then I did lose another time, so I'm down to 3 there. So that will do it for the action phase. Planning phase for 3-time. I think I'll take I get these 0 cost cards back, which does include another short rest. Might not be the worst thing to use. Yeah, we're definitely into the fight portion of the game, so I want a guard and a close call. Let's see, 0 costs go here, critical blow goes here, close call, and planning. So anyway, that will do it for my turn. For the planning phase, I'll actually remember to set that up to 6-time. Killer phase, Hans would attack, but there's nobody there to attack, so he'll draw a fresh terror card. He'll draw... He just keeps coming, again. So the horror rating goes back up. And then he's targeting, moving, and then attacking. So he can move there, but he can't get to anybody because he's only moving 1 space. Right, so... This could be a little bit of a problem. I need to start getting some attack cards. But anyway, that won't come until next round, so we're into round 10 now. And yeah. So we're about to reveal the finale, but unfortunately I'm not ready for the attack part yet. Anyway. So let's move into round 10 next. Okay, so right now we've got those 3 victims on the board. I might be tempted to use them as a human shield while I get ready to try to take out Hans, but anyway, we do have an attack coming back. It's a weak attack. It's a weak attack though, so well, I think the first thing we're going to do is we're going to try to focus so we can knock... Actually, let's do this in the other order. Let's try to sprint first. I probably am going to use those victims as a human shield, as somewhat crazy as this sounds. Alright, so 1 success, which moves me 2 spaces. This still actually kind of works, I think. I will actually play a close call to reroll this die. And still get nothing, but moving in there for 2... Did we walk or did we... Oh, we sprinted, right. So 2 spaces, lose a time. Either way, though, I will be able to use those victims as human shields. So, do I want to try to knock the horror rating down? I think I do. So I will actually focus here. See if I can bring that down a little bit. He's going to end up in our space anyway, so... I can discard 2 cards for a success, which I think will be worth it. So I'll discard the Walk and the Short Rest just to get a success. So that brings the horror rating down, but loses me a time, which is a bit of a problem because, well, for 4 time, I actually will get all these 0 cost back. And for 4 time, I'll take a Furious Strike, since I'm basically in that point where I'm going to be fighting him all out now. But anyway, time goes back up to 6. These all go back to the tableau. And now we have our killer phase, our last card of the terror deck. First would be the killer action on the finale card, but there's nobody in his space right now. If there are no victims on the board, discard and draw the next terror card. Otherwise, oh boy, he moves, attacks twice, taking those 2 out, and now we get the Dark Power. So the Dark Power here. Blood Frenzy. For every victim that Hans kills, +1 Bloodlust. Oh joy! So he gains 1. So he'd gain 1 from the normal Bloodlust, and then another one from that. Fantastic. Right. So the victim's got to panic now. A 2 means the victim stays put. Fantastic. Alright, then the upkeep phase. So now we reveal the finale. So let's take a look here. This will change what happens at the start of the killer phase. Butcher's Bloodthirst. Oh, fantastic. Increase Bloodthirst by 1, targeting either one of us, moves twice and attacks, and he's doing 3 damage on attack. Yikes. That is very bad. So, yeah, I think now we need to be back into the stick and move approach. But anyway, that will do it for round 10. Round 11 now. And yeah, it's coming down to a final fight, but let's get into it. So I lied. Because of that Dark Power, Hans is actually doing 4 damage on his attacks. Joy, joy. Alright, so I will play... I'll actually start off with a Furious Strike. So, actually, for the victim killed during the attack, he killed 2, so the horror rating... Okay, this is very problematic. So now that I remember that... Oh boy. Well, I think instead with that knowledge in mind, I'm gonna lead with a focus. Because I really need that horror rating down. Which the game tells me I can have if I discard 2 cards, and I think... Ugh, this is so bad. I'll discard a walk and a weak attack, I guess. I need that horror rating down too badly right now. Because I need the dice. We'll go for a Furious Strike then. This is bad. Alright, so... I get 1 success off of that, so I do 2 damage because of the knife, Decrease the horror rating by 1 again, but the action phase is over. So 2 damage, 1 horror rating down, but the action phase is over. So I have 5 time. I think we grab all these 0 costs back. Then I'll grab the Retaliate for 4 and a Close Call for 1. This could be bad. So we go into the killer phase now. Hans's Bloodlust increases by 1, which brings that right back down. He would target us. He would target either one of us, except we're already in the space. He moves, or he attacks, which increases his Bloodlust again, so now he's doing 4 damage. We skip the drawing of the Terror card because there's no Terror cards left. And yeah, right now we're just in the middle of the final battle. So this is just going absolutely horrendously, folks. But anyway, so we're in round 12 now, and things just are spiraling quickly out of control here. Let me move these back to the tableau. Alright, so if he's moving twice, I need to keep away from him at all costs. So, yeah. And actually that killing the victim bumped his Bloodlust by 1, so this is very bad. Which brings the horror rating back up. Fantastic. So, yeah, I might as well just try a short rest at this point. Actually, I might as well go into round 11 and we'll see what we want to do. We got to start with knocking the horror rating down again. That should be at 6 again. Game tells me I can have it if I'm willing to lose a time, and I don't think I have a choice. Yeah, we're going to have to discard a short rest and a walk to get that horror rating back up and lose a time. Actually, before we do that, let's close call to re-roll that. Actually, no, I'm not going to risk it. I can't afford to. So in that case, I will discard... Instead of that, I'll discard... No, we'll discard it the same way. Then I'll discard a close call to get a time back. Then for 6 time, I will take the... So I'm in the planning phase now. I get all these 0 cost cards back. Yeah, I think it's just a critical blow at this point to try to take Hans out. But anyway, killer phase now. So Hans increases his Bloodlust by 1. He's going to attack. He would move twice, except I'm already there, so he's going to attack. I'm going to try to retaliate. So I need 2 successes here to ignore all damage from the attack. Actually, let me do this. So that's there. I'm going to reorganize this properly. So I really need 2 successes here, and this might be worth dumping cards, because this would do 3 damage to him if we get 2 successes. Actually, would retaliate. I think it modifies... Modify damage made with action cards, and retaliate is an action card, so yeah. Being able to reduce the damage by 2 is still 3, but... Yeah, I think we'll have to discard the... I wish I had a... See, I think we'll discard a guard and a walk, which still reduces it by 2. So I'm definitely taking 3 damage here. He's taking 2, though. But we have my final health token. So on the back of this, I find that I'm actually dead. So, yeah. So, game ends. It was a close one at the end, but I just couldn't get away from that much damage. But anyway, let's move back up top to wrap this game up. It was a dogfight to the end, but alas, Reiko couldn't get it done against Hans. So that will do it for this playthrough of Final Girl. I do expect this to hit the channel again and again, because there's a lot of game to dig into here, but anyway. Sunday we'll see the end of Christmas in Arkham as we play Elder Sign. Next week I am going to be traveling for the holiday, but I still plan to make a few videos while I'm out there. While I'm visiting my family next week, we'll play Star Realms. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.